Hello everyone, good day. This is Miss Joanna or simply Miss Jong, and welcome to Practical Research to Quantitative Research with me. Today we are going to discuss what are the parts in what are the parts in chapter 1 and also in chapter 2 so that by this week we can start drafting, all right? The version 1.0 of our chapters 1 and 2. Alright, so let's start. Okay, so here are just basic guidelines in making the research title. I just included that. And this was already discussed when I talked about SOP questions, specifically questions in the SOP per research design. And along that, gave you tips, in making a research title. Again, include the major variables. So they can be called predictor and criterion variables in a predictive correlational design. Because again, we are using non-experimental design. So please let us avoid using dependent and independent variables because those terms should apply if it's an experimental study. And yes, again, we are not going to have experimental study. All right. So again, so do not use abbreviations. State in a declarative form. 5 to 15 words are sufficient in a title. And yeah, don't forget to include again in the title your respondents, your major variables, and major variables which are non-experimental variables again, right? And that's just it. I'm just sharing. And the following steps can guide you in writing your title. So determine what you want to accomplish, include important keywords and the variables, eliminate the unnecessary words, again, correct grammar if necessary, and observe proper formatting. So without further ado, let's start. Chapter 1. The title of Chapter 1 is The Problem and Its Background. And there are 8 parts in Chapter 1. So we have rationale, we have theoretical background, we have theoretical and conceptual framework, we have statement of the problem, we have statement of null hypothesis, and 1.6 is significance of the study, and then scope and delimitation, and last is in 1.8 definition of terms. And of course you're already familiar with this, yeah, because you already did practical research 1. Okay, let's just review. So in the rationale contains, so 1.1, the first part in chapter 1, the general context of the study, the description of the current state of field, the description of the current and conventional practices in addressing the issue, the research gap, and how your current study fills this gap. And remember that for the rationale, it's just 2 to 3 pages only. Use neutral voice, use the present tense, avoid bias, avoid concluding statements that are not supported with any citations. Okay, chapter 1 serves as the background of the study, and you put the logical reasons why the researchers conducted the study. And it should be arranged deductively from the general to specific, or of course the first paragraph should contain the global context of your study, and then what other researchers around the world are talking about your study. Then for national, Philippine context, so what are the Philippine researchers talking about this problem or talking about your study. And then go local, so what's if you can find any study or researchers who are conducting a study in here in Cebu, okay, regarding your study. Okay, so that's how it is. And I think you have to have the research gap because again, the goal of research is to provide or add to the existing body of knowledge. And thus, we should find something new from the research. Dili kay magbalik-balik. So, for example, you would like to research for the same example, again, parenting style, no, and academic performance. So, sa academic, sa parenting style, unsa pa man ang gap, unsa pa man kaha ang point nga wala pa jud kaayo ni siya na further discuss sa mga researcher. Naapa jud na siya kay dili man jud tanan ma-address no niya. Miss asa kami makabalo sa research gap. Then this is where the reading takes place. So, 'di ba I told you to read about related studies regarding your topic. If you read no mga related studies kanang, and then not just read but understand. If you understand and comprehend unsa man jud ang ipang sulti ani nga mga research paper ha, ang findings nila, tapos naa jud ni part sa paper nga mosulti sila nga kanang suggestion to the future researcher or unsa pa man naa man nasad sa scope and delimitation nga among scope kanira wala siya na-include ang kani. So kung kana wala na nila gi-include, then you can include that in your paper. Kay naka-establish naman ka research gaps. So isulti sa rationale nga the other papers or these authors talk about parenting style in this manner. They did not talk about this or kanang i-write ni mo dito nga kanang however the previous researchers did not talk about like this particular kind of koan sa parenting style ani. So therefore kanang mana naka nga the current researchers would like to address that gap or di ba, that is the purpose jud di ay. Okay, so importante mo ang rationale kay diha man gud makita ini ka first glance pa lang ano din nag-study ni sila ani kadaghan man balik-balik ani, pero if makita nimo nga dili sa kalang lami og words no, but kana ganing direct to the point nga mga words nga kanang it makes sense. So gibuhat ni namo ang study because naa man yung need kay wala na address gud sa uban researchers. And then if that's how you present the rationale, very good. Kay you're really following, no? Dili kay magyaw-yaw dress rationale for the sake nga naa kay rationale. Diba? So again, since groupings man gyud nino, you have to magtinabangay tanan members, no? Everybody is a leader, everybody is a facilitator, everybody can be considered a leader niya. Mangan nang kinahanglan jud ni nato study unsa pa di ay ang gap ani. So unsa na daw pag fill og gap. Okay, so the current study will address the gap, okay, in a sense that the study will conduct blah 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 or will be unsa man kaha. Okay? So again, establish the rationale correctly kay para pod dili mayabo ining OD nga ini okay nindot kay pagkasulat ang rationale okay naklaro unsa jud ang rason kini ubang taas sig rationale niya Jimara. Okay, it's not direct to the point, diba? So next ha. Okay, yaw na kasi miss dining dapita. Alright. Sige. So, diba daghan kay na siya mga chess miss dira. So, again, rationale no inform the reader no of the context of the study. It means the situation or circumstances within which your research topic was conceptualized. No? This part is written when you have already conducted a literature review, see, and has a good perception of the topic. So, you can articulate the importance and validity of the research problem. No. The rationale also is the part of the paper where you justify the need to conduct a research study about the topic selected by establishing the research gap. So, dira ma-answer sa rationale, ngano man mong iya kong ibiyaan char oy just mess ha sige lang kagkuan ha ho na. So ngano man nag-conduct, why is there a need to conduct the research ngano man. So i-answeron dyan sa rationale. Okay, again, establish the research gap no. And then diba dire gibutang the research gap is an under or unexplored area of a topic that requires further exploration. Okay, the gap can be in a form of other variables, conditions, population, methodology, or test subject. Okay, so, for example, kanang wala pa di ay ni siya na-conduct sa mga senior high school, o then ang imong study is you try to study this particular topic na senior high ang imuhang kuan, senior high ang imuhang mga imuhang mga participants, tanan mo maura bagyapon ka ang findings ingana. You may have to look for similar or related studies employing quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods, okay, from legitimate sources, and examine gray areas. Sa pa man ka ang wala na explore ani nga topic, di ba? Narao? Reading through the discussion, conclusion, recommendations, di ba, of the articles will help you know potential areas of study that may need further attention. So kani di ay ang paghimo og rational, dili ni siya magic na maghimo unsa kang unsa man akong idea dili. Magbase din ni siya sa imuhang pagbasa sa mga related studies. Not just reading the related studies, but really reading and understanding and comprehending what you're reading. That's really important, okay? So we have to establish that reading skills pa. Okay? So, identifying research gaps sometimes would even make researchers modify their research problems as they get noteworthy ideas from fellow researchers. Diba, para na kay, Miss, I don't know how to write. May anak ka, I don't know where to start. O, diba, mga anak, kanang, that may be the problem because you are not reading siguro. Miss, I'm reading na. Okay, you're not reading enough. Miss, I'm reading enough. Oh, how do you know what's enough? Kung ano siya, dear, no? That's why groupings bito ang research para magtinabangay mo. O sige, kaniya akong nabasa, ay niya. If mubasa gani ka og research paper, no? Related studies, isulat. You write unsa man ang mga important aspects ani, unsay mga findings nila nga mga importante kaayo. Okay, so kintahay 10 mo kabuok sa usa ka grupo. So naay 10 kabuok nga lain-lain nga mga related studies niya. 10 kabuok mga ideas generating from lain-lain nga mga research studies. Siya dili mo makabuhat og springboard in order to write jumpstart writing the rationale. So process man gud ni ang research, guys. Ayo siya dali nga kanang dali na lang na suot kanang submit sa deadline ang rational ay na mga hinana ba niya kanang hello, it really hurts, o diba, kanang ay ko siya dali yes, there's a deadline, pero I really appreciate quality, no, over quantity, kasi wala si kagdaghan o pass na ako unya, walay quality dinalian. Okay? So, you have to take time. Ano din na, miss? Yes. O, wala pa na siya na-establish ninyo pag research 1, then I'm telling you now. So, mo na ang importante, gidi ay, mabitaw sa topic proposal or sa research title proposal, no, na ay mga related studies, kay para, kamo, dili mo maglisod o jumpstart sa inyong kanang own nga topic, kay na naman mo yung mga basis nga, ay, kani siya mo niyang mga gipang chika, ay, ang mga kaning researcher mo niyang findings, kaning researcher mauni ang iyang topic, ang, so, findings niya, yun sa kaniniya, no, iyang method, o sige, atong tanaw niya, kasi mga recommendations niya. From there, you will really see nga na research gap mo na. Sige, kaniya akong i-topic, kay wala pa dyan siya na-explore. Do you get me? Okay, so 1.1 pa gani na, OMG, ano na ba? O, diba? Alright, so ang rational, no, kay introductory part siya sa paper. Purpose of relaying the importance of your study. Ano importante man? The rationale will answer the what is already known about the topic, what is not known about the topic. So not known is the research gap, no? Why do you need to address those gaps? Okay? And then, what is the purpose of your study? Okay, mura dyan ang upat ka question nga dapat ma-answer sa rational. Okay? I hope that's clear, no? So, ang rational mo na siya answeran niya. Okay? So, lahi man to ang related literature kay different sa to siya og purpose. Kaning rational mo ni siya. You establish these. Okay. Hi, alright. Muna ta sa rational, no? Yeah. Let me just give you an example. Wait. Okay. So, so chapter 1, rationale, o, diba? So, dapat center bold, it should be page 1, chapter page should be invisible. Ano na siya no niya? Kani, all caps, center bold, the problem and its background. Okay? So, use neutral voice, avoid bias, okay, sa rational, diba? This is the logical reasons why the researchers conducted the study, o, diba? If you noticed, okay, adolescent period, unsa na siya about niya. Academic achievement is, unsa na siya, mga chessmen niya. Philippines dayon. So, kani siya murag, unsay global context, no? Of the phenomenon dire niya. About din siya og Philippines is a part of change, yada yada yada. Therefore, the question is, o diba? Present, excuse me, present cultural transition taking place in the Philippines, diba? And then Philippines na siya, unya, mo na siya. And then moto niya na siya. Relatively few studies have examined the impact of parenting style and emotional intelligence, diba? In the Philippine context. O, diba mo ni siya yung research gap, no? Ingon siya, relatively few studies have examined the impact of parenting styles and emotional intelligence independently and jointly on academic achievement in the Philippine context at a time when the country is going through a cultural transition. Thus, the present study explores and examines the impact of these variables on academic achievement from an adolescent's perspective. O, diba? 3 pages na jud naman na. Dili na kay daghang yaw-yaw. Importante nga ma-establish ni mo unsa na siya about imong study. Next, please. So, 1.2. Theoretical background. So, this is an in-depth discussion of the anchored theories in the study. So, one paragraph ha per theory niya. Anchor your study on at least duha ka theories. At least na siya, no? The more sa magtulo ka theories, okay ra jud kaayo. Mas magka-strong no na ang imong foundation sa imong study. Okay? So, here is a sample of the first paragraph of a theoretical background. So, na siya example din ha. So, kung Erickson's theory of psychological development, unsa na siya. Okay. Yeah. Just search for your theories in the internet. No? Make sure nga the sources are legit. Okay? So, ato na sa taan ni okay. Nadara. Kanang preliminary discussion, anchored theory in the study. Okay. So, Erik Erikson's theory of psychological development involves 8 stages. Unsa man na siya? Describes how the impact of social interaction. It describes how a crisis, kuno. So, the 5th stage. So, unsa kon siya ba? Kung yun sa pag-relate nga makasuportar ang study, makasuportar ang theory sa imong study. Okay, so sa ilaha kay about parenting man ni, so mo to kanilang ikuan, choose ka Erik Erikson's theory. Okay po. 1.3 is theoretical and conceptual framework. So this is also called paradigm of the study, theoretical and conceptual framework. Make sure to fit this in only one page. Tara, example, ako na sang screenshot no niya. Kanang, ay, hindi siya makita sa screen. Ilang kadiyot. So, theoretical and conceptual framework. So, this is an example of how theoretical and study looks like. And, the first box is the theory. Kung daghan kang theory, so daghan iya din ha. Or pwede sa daghan og boxes. Depende ra nimo. And, the second box contains the major variable. The first major variable with the sub-variables. Next, kay second major variable and sub-variables. And the last one is ang last nga major variable. Kitulo man ka variable, parenting style, emotional intelligence, and academic achievement ni siya. So, if we can go here, no. Wait lang ha. Okay. So, again, draw figure 1, the schematic diagram of the theoretical and conceptual framework of the study. Ano siya title sa framework? Okay? Sige, ito iba. Para maklaro maayo. Tarang title. No? So, ano siya? Let's go back. Once we're done, so SOP na, statement of the problem, again, so naa siya general research question, specific research question. Use impersonal third-person point of view, no? What example diri? What is the academic performance? Do not write in the SOP, what is your academic performance? Second person point of view, nag-your ka. Please, this is not acceptable in the SOP. Giread yun na ako kay na ako'y nabantayan ngayon ani ang pag-submit. So please lang, no? Observe. See, gibalik-balik ang SOP pod. Kanang I really hope, moving forward, and when we submit the first draft, the version 1.0 draft of chapter 1, I hope makuha ang sakto nga SOP. No, please lang. Wala mo naglagot si Messi. Nanay na siya kay strong na akong voice. Sa SOP, so if you can see, no, wala jud ni diri nag-ask number 1, what are your parenting styles or what are your emotional intelligence? Wala. Third person, impersonal, no, impersonal tone, third person point of view. This one right here is the general problem, and it's done in past tense. Kanang as I'm checking, pwede ra jud past tense kay haron di na ta malabad og change og tenses kay actually in real life, if you conduct a study, present tense yun ang gamiton if under nagsige patawag study ba. Okay, so this study is mainly conducted kanang or was banda dapat, pero kanang past tense siya, like example kani the following research questions guided, so dili ingon nga the following research questions guide the study, dili siya guided na siya, so past tense siya. Kay inig human man jud sa research good, like you're done na, di ba? So imo na siyang i-past tense kay para it's done naman. Okay, so kana mga kuan, if you're done na past tense na sila, ina na sila himo ipuha og present char. So kanang just use observe past tense guys niya. Problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, 4. Okay, if you notice, no, again, kada usa ka problem, gikan na siya sa usa ka major variable. So parenting style, one variable. Muna siya problem 1. Sa problem 2, emotional intelligence, this is the second variable. And problem 3, the third variable is academic performance. So, mao na siya. So if miss duha ra ang amo ang major variables, so duha ra siya diri 1 and 2. Ang next na question ana again is factor relating questions na, no, i-relate na sumuto nang tanong is there a significant relationship relationship among the three variables sa kaning example. So in ana siya, and then na-discuss na ko ni further ang SOP sa previous kanang tutorial nako. Okay. So nice statement of null hypothesis di ay ta. Wala ni siya pag kanang research 1, wala ni siya ang statement of null hypothesis kay ang research 1 manggod qualitative to, and then if quantitative manggod na siya yung mga hypothesis, and kanang if mugamit taog non-experimental design, we use the null hypothesis. Okay, kinamilan kinds of hypothesis. So, mo ni kanira kung ibutang diri 1.5. So, null hypothesis ratong sulaton. Denoted with the symbol HO. HO na siya din, pero H0 kita na siya. Kay meaning null is zero man, none, di ba? But HO is okay. It exists when you consider that there is no relationship between the major variables, okay, or the non-experimental variables, or there is an insufficient amount of information to claim a scientific hypothesis. So, man na siya purpose anang null hypothesis. Nya. So, nara na siya guidelines dara. I will not read it. Giapilang ko na din ha, so that naalang mo kanang idea. Alright. So, next na lang, no? So, dara, actual example. And this is how we are going to write the null hypothesis in our research paper. Okay? So, at 0.5 level of significance, miss, unsa na pag ng mga 0.5, ay na lang dyan kung i-ask further o unsa na, you can just write that. Okay, kay, this will make sense na, no, inig ka discussion na to sa, after na ninyo, inig ka findings, unsa tawag na kanang chapter 3, no, after chapter 3, you are going to, naman, gather data. Tapos, hindi ko man gather data, mag-discuss na ta niya, mag-discuss na ta og mga statistical treatment, mag-make sense na siya once mag-discuss na ta ana. So, dili lang ko na siya i-further discuss now, kay dili dyan na siya ma-sink in, no? Basta, just write that way, null hypothesis. The following hypotheses were tested. There is no significant relationship in parenting styles, emotional intelligence, and academic achievement of adolescents. Okay. So, ako hatag ang example, no? Kani siya. So, dara ay, nasa naman ni? Dara di. Dara. So, null hypothesis, no? HO, there is no significant relationship in training styles, no? Sa atong design, na non-experimental, kanang ato ang gamit is null hypothesis, kay ato namang ibutang dara nga, there is no significant relationship. Okay? Mo na siya itong hypothesis ba? Nga walay relationship ang kaning mga variables. Okay? O niya. Mo na siya, hypothesis pa man na siya. So, i-test na to siya. That's why gani nag-ask ta ani, di ba? Answer na siya afterwards if naaba jud or wala. But this is the hypothesis na to. Nga ni-claim ta nga, wala siya yung relationship. That's it. And, alright, 1.6, significance of the study. This section details the contribution or benefit that your study provides to different people and organizations, including the academe and other sectors of society. For practical research, let us write our significance of the study in a topical arrangement. The topical arrangement is done in paragraphs. Dili na siya katong number 1, number 2, dili. Based on the weight of the individual contributions. Okay. So, So, kintahay, no? In a study about parenting styles and academic achievement, the arrangement of the beneficiaries can be like this. Okay? Again, use to the future tense sa significance of the study. And take note, significance, na siya guys, significance. Di siya significant. Significance. Okay? Please observe the proper spelling. So, first paragraph kay students, ang beneficiary, second kay parents, third kay psychology experts, fourth kay future researchers, something like that. So, this study will primarily benefit the adolescents. Okay, kay students jud na ang number 1 nga. No, primarily maka-benefit kay sila manggod ang atong respondent so para ilaha siya ang findings. And then, the results will widen the perspective of parents. Second, tayo ng parents. Okay? Hindi katulo din kay mga experts in the field of psychology. Diba? Then, lastly, future researchers can use the results as a reference if embarking in similar nature. Okay. So, sa scope and delimitation na. Alright, it sets the boundaries of your research in terms of certain aspects. Okay, the scope specifies the coverage alright, of the study, such as unsa may mga variable ka nimo, unsay population nimo, participants, timeline. Delimitation cites the factors for your study that are not included or excluded, diba, or those you'll not deal in your study. So, the delimitation, ipamutang kani siya ang included, kani siya wala na mag-i-appel. No. Right, components, mo ni siya. Limit, but are not limited to, no? Topic, nimo, what are the variables to be included and excluded? Objectives, why man are you doing the study? Time frame, when are you going to conduct? Local, where are you going to gather data? So, abol na siya sa scope and delimitation. So, that's why I encourage you nga ang mga respondents as much as possible kay taga University of Cebu main campus senior high school department or sa UC Pry, di ba? Sa UC Pry ang ato ang local haron mana maatong ibutang sa delimitation nga diha ra jud ang ato nang ang respondent wala ta ni cross over the line. Characteristics, so who man ang respondent, and then method of gathering, how are you going to collect data? So, di ba, through surveys man ta, random population, random sample, di ay. Alam mo na siya. Delimitation describes the various limitations that arose during the design of the conduct of the study, and sa mga limitations nimo. On the other hand, limitation of the study are those variables included in your study. Hence, limitation of the study is actually the identified scope. So, muna siya, scope and delimitation. Okay, di ba? So, ang limitation is your scope. Na para hindi malibog. You may use the following phrases when writing this section. So, this study covers, this study focuses on, coverage of study. So, pwede din mo gamiton. And scope and delimitation. So, say mga inclusions and justification nimo. Unsay i-exclude and justify that. Oh, yes. Scope and delimitation. So, sample na siya sa first paragraph dire. So, the study focused on exploring and examining the impact of parenting styles. So, if kanang ato ning ko ano, dara, the study focused on exploring and examining the impact of parenting styles among kuan. Therefore, examine the impact of three parenting styles no nya. With regard to the participants, mo ni siya, studying in pre-university were chosen at this stage because they experienced a number of social blah blah blah. It is believed that the findings kay if great importance nya. The present study included kinsa man, di ba? University of Cebu main campus senior high school department. Given that the Philippines is a rich cultural diversity, mo na siya. Additionally, hence the findings cannot be generalized no kay the present study relied on self-report. So mo na siya. Excuse me. Hi. And okay, so mo to 1.7 no. This one is an example of kanang the scope and the delimitation. Okay. Yay, 1.8 definition of terms. Also called operational definition of variables. The word operational that refers to how the word or term was used in the study. O, diba? So, mo na gani ka og kanang conceptual mo tong gikan sa dictionary, pero operational unsay meaning sa term based yun sa siya paggamit. That is why encourage na to nga definition no kay operational definition. Okay, so guidelines na siya, unsa man na siya kanang just read that. There, example na siya. So, sa conceptual, face-to-face, kay people are involved being close together. Pag may operational, face-to-face. This refers to one of the modalities used in learning delivery in which the teacher should be in the same place. O, diba? Okay, so muna na siyang example, conceptual o operational. For our study, let us use the kanang not conceptual but operational. Hala, opera ko na din wala ni e. Operational definition no. The terms are operationally defined based on how they are used in the study. So again, alphabetically arranged. Alright, indicate that it's operational definition. include the major non-experimental variables of your study. Okay? So, to have an example, ani, tanawa, no? So, if you see here, no, operationally defined. So, type of definition used. So, may define, diba? So, operational na academic achievement is defined as yada, 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 yada. And then, emotional intelligence is defined as, so, major variable man na nimo. Under sa emotional intelligence, kay nailain-lain nga kanang sub-variable na interpersonal awareness. So, dara ay remove. Then, no, cluster, definition under emotional intelligence, apply only if applicable. Kaning cluster definition, meaning kanang, kay siya naman siya sub-variable, so, imo siyang gibutang sa, kin mo nino, di ba? Kita ka mo ni siya intention niya sa emotional intelligence. Pero wala kag, kung may mga sub-variable sa emotional intelligence. So, imo na siyang i-appeal din ha, but then, duha na siya ka, kuan, kanang, sa tawag na kanang, duha na ka, ang iyang intention, rather. Okay, so, kay, in-indicate na siya nga, kani si interpersonal awareness, one of the sub-variable siya sa emotional intelligence. No, do you get that? So, emotional intelligence na siya 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 kabuok. Makuan. Diba? And then, sa parenting style, naasad siya 1, 2, pila ka parenting style. 3. Okay? So, ang ibutang lang nimo dinhi sa imong definition of terms kay mga major variables lang nimo. Karon dili siya, di na ka ma-GGB, unsay pamutang. Diba? So, for alright, so that is it. We are done with chapter 1. So let's have a chapter 1 summary. Again, chapter 1, the title is The Problem and Its Background. So we have rationale first, and then theoretical background. Okay, and then the theoretical and conceptual framework, and then the statement of the problem, and then the statement of the null hypothesis, and then the significance of the study, the scope and delimitation, and the definition of terms. So that's just it, basically for chapter 1. Let's talk about chapter 2. It's called, the title is Review of Related Literature and Studies. So there are 2 parts, related literature, related studies. Okay, let's try to discuss them. Okay. Basically, this is the purpose of a review of related literature and studies. Okay, so feel free to read that na lang, no? Okay, so let's jump directly to ano sa man ni sila. Related literature. Okay, discuss here kay review, di ba? Review of related literature. You are making a review. Nag-review ka. So meaning nakikibasa para naa kay ma-review. Okay. So discuss how the authors of books, journals, research papers, articles, news, etc. write or kanang talk about your topic. Technically, the validity of the citations here solely depends. The validity of this here solely depends on the context of your study. Example, if your citations are 1980s and your studies about smartphone, your citations are outdated, thus it can be invalid citation. Kay ang smartphones, no, mga 1990s na siya, not so much with 1980. If your citations are 1980s and your studies about teenage pregnancy, for example, that is still valid since during the time the context of the study was relevant. So during 1980s na may mga nahitabo nga teenage pregnancy, so okay na siyang mag-cite kag mga inana nga kargaan since it's relevant during that time. So pwede na yung mga 1980s sa literature, pwede na jud as long as you understand sa context sa imong study. Hala, related literature. Again ha, ako lang basahon. Should your review of related literature come from a related nga published research paper or journal? You can write and review what the other researchers wrote about this topic. Sa imong topic ba? Except the findings and results. Because when you discuss the findings and results of a related published research paper or journal, you're already writing the review of related studies. Yes, sumuna siya ang ilang difference. Okay, para dili ta maglibog. Therefore, sa related literature, ang iyang sources daghan kaayo. Mga books, scholarly journals, published research paper, dissertations, government document, periodical, encyclopedia. Mas kuan jud siya, exhaustive and extensive ang related literature kay pwede man gani mga karaan nga citation mga 1980s basta lang di ba sa to kanang asa naman to basta lang kay kanang relevant man siya sa at that time okay ra jud mga karaan so munang mas daghan jud kag masulat sa related literature. So ito na next. Okay, discuss important elements of your major variables here sa review of related literature. For example, your study is about the different parenting styles and academic achievement. You can include important key points and or concepts about parenting styles and academic achievement here. Sulat na mo din sa literature nga review. Then you can review about what the other researchers have done with the same topic. Again, just take note that the findings and results of the study shall not be included in related literature. Kay mao man na siya ang related studies, ang pag-review man sa findings o result, diba? So na example din kanang good to note, arrange related literature review from the oldest citation year to the most recent citation year. So, manan siya example of related literature. So, nag-chika lang ka nga si Dernbush et al. Study on the relationship between parenting style. Ano siya? Tapos, there is Stevenson and Lee made an attempt. Nun sana siya. Kaya examine the relationship between. Okay, na. Next, please. So, dali na ta. 2.2 related studies na. Here, discuss the purpose and the results and the findings of the authors or the researchers of different related research papers. Published journals, theses, and dissertation. So ang sources sa related studies kay related research paper, published journals, thesis, and dissertation. Unya, ang ichika na nimo about ana is ang mga result and findings. So, kung sample sa research paper na ay namdyan part na nga introduction in literature, namdyan part din nga method, mga nana. Pwede na siya i-discuss nimo sa related literature. Ang sa studies nimo, ato ka mag-focus sa ilang findings ra. So, the findings of this study is this and that. Muna siyang focus sa related studies. I hope clear siya nga. Mora dahil na siya ang difference. Ay, kaya diba? At least, kuana nimo. So, related studies, ako na siyang highlight. Related studies should be recent, in order to reflect relevance of the time the study is conducted. Therefore, the validity of citations in review of related studies should be from research papers published at least 5 years ago. So, the accepted related studies then are those with the year 2015. up to now 2020, excuse me, the year 2000 to 2014 shall be considered outdated na. Then the year 1990s and earlier shall be considered extinct. Grabe na yung version dinosaur. Extinct in the review for these studies. Kay, mao nga, naa siya, mao na ang related, ay pwede lang related literature, but what's the gamit sa related studies? So, ang gamit sa related studies kay, mo nang recent ra dapat ang i-accept no, kay, kanang, all throughout the years no, magkalain-lain manggod ang kanang magkalain-lain ang approach sa mga researchers sa the same nga topic. Kay, for example, public speaking anxiety. Kanang topic, public speaking anxiety, it has been around sa dugay na jud no. Ya, ang problema sa public speaking anxiety pagka 1990s, no nga, imo na nang gi-detail ra sa imuhang literature nga 1990s na asilay koan, na asilay mga kanang ni conduct ang researcher nani, di ba? Sa related studies kay unsay mga findings naman uy sa public speaking anxiety sa recent nga time, no? Kung maora ba gihapon o na unsay mga changes kay diha man mo makita sa related studies ang kanang unsa ang mga new trends or new trends sa kana nga topic. So technically mo na siya kanang purpose na related studies, okay? So sa related studies ti ay kanang mga recent lang ang naangara. So ang imong ibutang din na kay para makabaw gud ka kay si literature daghan gud kay kag sources, so bisag karaan na kay nga mga kanang year pwede ra sa literature basta it's relevant sa imong topic. Then ma-compare and contrast mo ba nga so during that time mga 1990s no mo ni mga gipanghisgutan sa authors ay mo ni gipanghisgutan about public speaking anxiety. Pero sa karon recent time tan-awa unsay mga findings sa mga researcher. Okay. So makaingon ka nga ni progress jud ay no naa jud difference no kung how this problem was before as to how it is now ang problem. So mao na nga sa related studies kay recent na year ang pangitaon. Pero kung ka sa literature wala ra jud limit ang year as long as sa literature nimo no kanang ang citation niya mavalid ra siya kung depende sa imong context, again sa imong context sa study. Okay? So mo na siya, so dapat sa related studies jud kay kanang as much as possible ako mo dawat pa kog 2014, okay, 2014 2015 hangtod karon, pero mo ana ka og kuan 2013 2012 2010 dili na jud basta sa related studies. Kung nakoy makita nga 2010 miss ato na siya nang na-write dito sa related literature. Pwede na jud kay good. O basta dili lang ka mag-discuss about sa findings, no? Kaya ang findings and results dili ra man jud na siya sa related studies. Yang purpose sa related studies again to see unsay mga patterns and trends sa mga findings sa researcher sa kani nga topic. Hi, no ha, mo na din siya di ay kanang. Alright, so I think kanang okay na no, so we're done na no with related literature. Taray, unrelated studies. So na nasa niyo siya dere ang example no. So if you can see 2016, 2018, 2019. Yeah, akong gi-highlight ra ni gi-bold. Revealed that, showed that, results revealed, mga revealing. So, good to know. Focus on the results and findings of related studies when you write this review. Then, the arrangement is from oldest to most recent citation year. So, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, pa down siya. Just the same, no? Para naa siya pattern po ba? Dili siya kalat-kalat. Ang sa imong literature kay tanawa. 1987, 1990, 1991, paana na lang para naa siya pattern nga mao ni siyang karaan hanggang pinaka-recent. No, I hope that is clear. Okay. So that is it. Ano naman siguro ni? Yes. Kanang sa chapter 2, dili na ka mag-start nga na ay prefatory paragraph. Example sa prefatory paragraph kay mo ni, review of literature gives an overview of the previous studies done, blah blah blah. And then content. And then paragraph clincher. The clincher is a paragraph that serves as a conclusion, summarizing all the detailed points discussed in related literature and studies. Sige, akong tagaanta mo example. Charon. Okay, so, alright, okay. Alright, chapter page should be invisible. Chapter 2, yeah. Review of related literature and studies. All caps, center, bold. Yeah, prefatory statement. Make it brief and simple. Kinadyo na yung prefatory statement at chapter 2, ha? Excuse me. So, review of literature gives an overview. Okay, this section encapsulates the various so, muna siya example. And then, so, muna siya, no, related literature. So, pwede ka yun 1987 and all. So, related literature na, no. Yeah. Nanawala na ko. Related studies. Tara. So, related studies, nya. Kanang avoid, batong avoid and, dili pwede mo gamit og ampersand. Dapat i-kuan dyan na siya. Word. Related studies. Reveal that. Dara, clincher. Summary of chapter 2. So, with regard to the Philippine context, diverse culture differences, blah, 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 exist today. Na, diba? Philippine context na siya. Filipino society. Ana, para, ang dili siyang clincher kay, kanang, unsa man kaha, no? Unsa na siyang summarize ang chapter 2 niya. Imo siyang relate, diba? Kay, Philippine context mong yun na ato ang dapat. Kina, naman ta dali sa Pilipinas, nag-conduct Filipino man ta. Okay. Yay! Mana sa chapter 2 summary. Chapter 2, review of related literature and studies. So this is the title of chapter 2. Prefatory paragraph should be present again. Yeah, putang kang related literature nimo, related studies nimo. Yeah, clincher na dayon, and then you're done with chapter 2. Hey! Alright, so nagipakpak mo. Okay, thank you for listening and have fun writing your chapters 1 and 2. Yay! So, ako ning gibuhat, no, kay para, na naka-overview, kabaw na ta. Okay, kay I know, kabaw na ta mo write og chapters 1 and 2, kay mauraman good na, jud ang skill sa writing good, sa research, kay di man naman mo research 1. So, ako ning gibuhat haron na namoy guide niya. Para sad, no, ako na nang gikuandaan para dili ta ma-short of time nga. So, sambal, 8 man ta kabuok sa members or uban gani 9, uban 7, depende ra jud niya. So, ano lang, sambal, 3. Sige, 3 kamo, chapter 1 mo write, and then, ang the rest upat, kay kuan, or kung 8 mo kabuk, di kaming upat, chapter 1, di kaming upat, chapter 2, ana, para ma-divide ang task niya. Dili ta ma-short on time. Okay? So, ana, kay para at least, so, within kanang this week, unsa man ito this week, we are September. Where's my phone? Diba na, lol na lagi ko ani. So, 26, 27. So, September 28, Monday, 29, Tuesday, September 30 is Wednesday. So, this week man dyan nato ang discussion aning chapters 1 and 2. So, para within this week na, so October 1 and 2, na namoy ma-conceptualize ka chapters 1 and 2. Yay! Alright, so thank you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new today. And again, this is Miss Jong, your practical research 2 teachers. See you, everybody. See you, class, and our next virtual online class. And I'm excited to see everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, tangtanan, of course, and enjoy learning. Have fun conceptualizing your research paper. Alright, bye guys!